The most recent patch, the hotfix that happened on Thursday, added a few things that weren't in the patch notes. Specifically, there's been a change to shapeshifting, and there is a new bug that has to do with warlocks and demon armor. And I want to cover that really quickly. The first issue is a demon armor bug. And for those of you that play Warlock and are looking at playing demon armor, especially with the newest changes to demon form and using Blood Pact, the skill Blood Pact, to change into a demon now that you can use weapons, which, by the way, seems incredibly strong and will likely end up being nerfed because they're doing too much damage, I think, for the amount of damage mitigation and the movement speed that they have, but that is obviously for the devs to take care of. I think the issue has to do with a damage bonus that they put on bare hands, which are still being applied to the weapon swings as well. They need to remove some of that weapon damage from the shape-shifted form. Doesn't make sense to have anymore if you can use weapons. Typically, people end up using plate lock. They use demon armor, the ability to wear plate when they do this. There's a bug with that talent right now. We were able to really lock it down. Basically, what happens is every time that you load into a new screen, so whether it's going into the first level of a dungeon, or if you take the portal down to the second level, or if you leave the dungeon, like you survive whatever, and go back to the main menu, this happens every time. Whenever you load into like the next set of the next screen. Okay, so here I have a Warlock that is currently loading into the waiting lobby for Frost Mountain. And if you take a look, if I look at his inventory right here, it will show that his physical damage reduction is 0.5%, which means that nothing that's on him, with the exception of these adventurer boots at 13 armor rating, actually count for any armor at all. Notice I'm at negative 12%, even though I have a pair of plate pants, a fine cuirass, and a visored Barbuda helm on. If I take these pieces off, notice this number doesn't go down either. And also, if you look, the visored Barbuda helm has 1 will on it, and the fine cuirass has 1 strength and 1 vigor. If I take these pieces off, notice these numbers aren't moving either. But if I start to put them back on, you'll see the numbers change, right? My will just went up by a point, and now I have physical damage reduction of 10.1%. If I put the cuirass on, my strength and vigor will go up by 1 point. Right? And now I have 22.9% PDR. If I put the plate pants on, same thing, 29.3, and my strength and vigor go up another point. This is an issue with the current patch. It's just something that is a thing right now. And SDF confirmed it. It's something that they know that they need to adjust. But for those of you that are running demon armor, if you're running demon armor, just make sure that you cycle your gear off and on again, or if you're going between levels or starting the lobby, whatever, leave them in your bag, and then when the round starts, put the plate armor back on. Now, this only applies to plate armor that couldn't otherwise have been worn had it not been for the demon armor perk, because there are plate pieces, for instance, that as a warlock you can wear, like a Cobalt Templar armor, or the Champion's armor, for instance, that has Warlock as a class that can wear it, even though it's considered to be plate. It only applies to the things that the talent, the perk, lets you wear. Some kind of a bug, some kind of disconnect there. So just to make you aware of it. The rest of this stuff has to do with the Druid. So we know that in the patch notes they said that the Druid gear, the Druid specific items were added to this, and now they drop. The problem is in the stat allocations. So in things like the Ritual Robe and the Dark Grove Robe, all of the other Druid-specific items, it doesn't seem like they really have a place at the moment. The amount of stats and what the stats provide and what are being provided by those stats aren't really that great. The Ritual Robe and the Dark Grove Robe both end up having agility as a primary stat, but that agility only goes up to 3 points, instead of the equivalent gearing that would have those as primary stats across rarity levels that would actually go up to 6. So in this case, it's actually better if you're going to run, like, say, a blue piece of gear. It would be better to run like a padded tunic that ends up having 4 strength on it with 2 agility as a substat, which would be equivalent to anything under epic quality for a Ritual Robe. And the epic quality Ritual Robe only has 3 agility, which means that to flip that the other way, you'd have 3 agility with 2 strength if you got a roll that wanted agility and strength on it, for instance, running a Druid, versus a padded tunic, which would have 4 strength and 2 agility, which I think was probably a better deal. Now, I mentioned this to SDF, and he said that they were going to look into it, and it's probably going to be something that they adjust. The same, unfortunately, is true for just about every other piece of Druid-specific gear. Either the stats don't scale right, or the stat allocations themselves aren't as good for a Druid, regardless of focus, versus just any of the other wearable pieces that are already in the game. So those obviously need some tweaking. Now, this last bit has to do with Druid shapeshifting. A lot of people are saying that, unfortunately, you're not able to shapeshift through like doorway windows or you can't do the P glide anymore, going from cat into chicken form and kind of like zipping across a room. Now, this is untrue, and I am here to show you that it's absolutely possible to still perform. However, I will agree that the window is a lot tighter than it used to be. Okay, so what they changed is the order of operations. It used to be that what people would do is that they would shapeshift into rat, or they would begin the shapeshift, and then they would jump. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't work anymore. And here, I'll show you, I'll hold up my keyboard. So if I let go of the Q key, which holds my wheel open, and then hit spacebar, you'll notice that the rat ends up stuck to the floor. Right? It doesn't work. Instead, what you have to do is what I have been teaching people to do from the very beginning and how I learned how to do it. And that is to jump first and then let go of the wheel. So if you want to line yourself up to the window, like so, and obviously I'm doing this a bit slower, but you want to line yourself up to the window like so, open the wheel, hover your mouse over rat, and then jump, and after you jump, immediately after hitting spacebar, you let go of Q, and then crouch. It's that easy. Now you can do this on the fly, or should be able to do this on the fly, no problem. And it's actually, once you get the action down, in my opinion, it's a lot smoother of a process to do, and it feels like you get through the window, if you can get the timing right, a lot easier. This same order of operations gets performed whenever you do like the cat into the P glide. Because in order to be able to pull this off, again, you have to have initiated the action and then have the chicken form ready. So we're going to shift into cat form, and then we're going to hold the mouse over chicken form, and then run, jump, and then shift into chicken by letting go. That's it. See? So both of which are still absolutely possible. It's just a matter of doing the order of operations in the order that you have to do them in, rather than trying to cue the action while trying to jump after the action is cued. Okay? So that's how you perform those two. It is a lot tighter of a window than it used to be, but again, if you do them in the right order, it should not be an issue. It's just a matter of retraining your muscle memory to follow through on those actions the way that I've shown you how to do it here. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for coming and checking this out. My name again is Onepeg. If you would be so kind as to sub the channel here, if you end up enjoying the content or you find it informational, educational, whatever, that would be amazing. Maybe even hit the bell. Who knows? Otherwise, you can come and check me out where I'm live most days at around 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over at twitch.tv/Onepeg. Otherwise, I suppose I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for lending me your eyeballs, everybody. We'll see you soon. Peace.